You said for the girls, they should at least be 25. What about
Yes.
boys?
Young ladies, they mature faster than men, and so 27, 28, that's a good space. In fact, I usually think if when a man is about 30, they really know who they are, and they really know what they want, and most of the times they are prepared to be able to take care of a family. What I really grieves my heart is when I see a young man who is probably 22, 23, and he gets married, or he decides to get into a serious relationship, but he cannot provide for that family. So what happens is that either his mother or his father are chipping in to help the family. So I would really encourage young men, first of all, get to know who you are and where you want to go, and avoid, especially for young men, avoid getting sexually involved with young ladies without a plan, because when you do that, then you create suffering for yourself, and you also create suffering for the young lady. And so if you have an issue with managing your sexual desires, those are things that you can get help for. You can get a mentor, you can get somebody to help you manage, or be accountable, because sexual exploration and sexual activity, those are behaviors. They are things that we choose to do. And once you choose to do something, and a habit forms because you have repeated it several times, and your brain begins to connect the pleasure. Dopamine is the pleasure hormone. So whenever you do a behavior that makes you feel good, your brain kind of takes that information and stores it, so that when you are bored, when you are angry, when you are feeling, and when you're just feeling low, or you're not feeling like yourself, your brain reminds you, what, that time when we did this and that, you felt good. And so immediately you begin to have cravings for that thing that made you feel good before. So it is important for us to understand these appetites that we have, especially sexual appetites when it comes to dating. We can control that. And then there are these other belief systems that we have, myths that we have. It's important for you to know yourself. So what do you believe about dating and sex? What do you believe? Where do those beliefs come from? What are your values about that? Because, Charles, one of the problems that we have, and one of the things that I am sharing here about the successful or effective dating, is also to postpone the sexual involvement in the relationship. So get to know yourself. If you know that you cannot date for a year, before you get married, or before you go to bed with that person, it's important for you then to ask yourself that now, because I can't wait that long, then what am I going to do about dating? Am I ready to move into the next level of dating, so that I can so that things don't happen, and then I'm wondering, how did all this happen? I was not prepared. When I have couples, and especially these days, we are having couples as young in marriage as 1 year who are already having trouble. When that happens, when we look at their foundations, how they started, we realize that most often than not, they are couples who are starting off during the dating period. They enter into sexual activity, they get pregnant, and now they decide to get married. And I want to say, we can control that. We can avoid that by being very honest about what we are looking for, by being very honest about what we want, what are our desires, what are our motivations. So it's important to be able to, again, what I'm talking about here is being very intentional about why I am dating. So for a young man, if you know your sexual appetite, and you know that you cannot date a girl without touching her, without wanting to go to bed with her, prepare yourself first. Ujue that number one, the issue of getting sexually involved, it has a lot of what we might call effects, both well, let me talk about the negative effects. It has a lot of negative effects emotionally to the lady, because sometimes we don't realize that when we think that, oh, it's normal for people when they are dating to just have sex, and that is part of sex. Some people have said that that is the way you test whether you are compatible sexually. Let me tell you, God did not make a mistake. When he created you man and created you a woman and gave you the sexual organs as a man and gave you the sexual organ as a woman, there is nowhere he said you have to test before you get married, because God is perfect in all he does. And so what we want to do is to make sure that we also, when I'm talking about values, I'm also talking about values of chastity and sexual purity, so that now you are also getting yourself connected and working with somebody who believes the same way that you believe about sexual purity and the dating process. I remember for me, when I was in my dating now as an adult, I was in my 30s, and I was, I was a student. I was in my master's program, and I didn't have time to meet a lot of people, and I was in a foreign country, and so I didn't see a lot of people from my country, and I decided to go on online dating. And online dating really taught me something, because of the process of getting to put together your profile, and they asked you what are the things that you are looking for, what are the things you cannot stand, and it helped me to crystallize in my mind what I was looking for. And one of the things that came out for me, because of my values, because of the way I was raised, because of my belief in God, because of my identity as a child of God, and my belief in sexual purity, one of my deal breakers was premarital sex. And so I knew, and everybody who would get matched with me, that question, they knew. My answer is not at all. Sex should be done during marriage, after I get married. And so that was very clear to me in my mind. And so, because we know how much powerful the act of sex is, it is very important in your dating process that you discuss that, because it is very emotional for the woman, and sometimes it's also very emotional for men, because there are some men who do it because that's the way they express their love and their acceptance of that woman. So if the woman was not serious about this sexual relationship that we have is going to lead to long term, or the man was not serious, you can imagine the heartache and the brokenness that is left. And then if perchance there is a child that is brought into the picture, now you can imagine we've already started the whole process in such a broken way that now we have another human being, very innocent, that has to deal with the choices we made, because we did not ask ourselves the very important question of, why am I making this choice?